ones that say asset BB on them. This is the only one you're grabbing today. We already did this file. That was the Sport View one. Along with that, everyone, we have some tutorials that they left in there that Joe did. We'll go over those later on. But for the most part, we're going through a lot of this stuff today anyway. Okay, if we manage to get through all of this today, everyone, what I plan on doing is just giving you guys. What's that? You don't,
There's no
can't see the bottom? What? Oh shit! Sorry. All right, refresh. If we get through this file today, I'll leave the rest of the time to. I want to start giving you guys time to work on stuff in class where you can ask me questions. We'll probably do a little bit more next week in After Effects, but I want to start opening up some of the class time to give you guys some time to work. Okay? Alrighty. Project-wise, how's everyone doing? Week 11. Who's got stuff due this week? Stuff due for Trevor or? Yeah. Okay guys, this is what we're building out today. There are two different versions of it. We're going to work on the easier version today, and I'll show you what the differences are in each one. There's this one.
Say my name. You're goddamn right.
Okay, so we're going to work on this one today for sure. This one is one that I hope to maybe get into next week, or at least show you some of the principles for this one. This one, it looks the same, but there's some more advanced things going on. I'll play this one through so you can see it also.
Say my name. You're goddamn right.
Okay, so the bigger difference with this one is this kind of parallax 3D kind of motion you get with these still images. This will be a very quick intro to 3D layers and 3D cameras in Cinema. If we have time, I might give you a rough overview of it today, but I doubt that we're going to get this one built out today. All right, the other thing that I'm going to be doing today, everybody, I just want to review once again just importing objects into Cinema again. I've been setting up the files for you where you have to go in and just click on the After Effects file, and for the most part the file setup is there. We're going to build everything from scratch today, which means importing all your files and seeing what the differences are in each one, the reason why they're laid out the way that they are. So just if you guys want to start building stuff on your own, you know how to set it up. Okay? All right. Very first thing, everybody, just open up After Effects right now. There's no comp size or anything set quite yet. So just open it up. Mine is obviously has a finished version of everything inside of it. We're going to build this out today. Okay? Okay, first off, everybody, before we even really start building in After Effects, just download all of that stuff for me, please, and let's just have a look at what some of the files are. Just to be on the safe side, I just downloaded the exact files that you have. So you should have a footage folder, and within that footage folder, you're going to have this image, which we're not gonna use. That was just a part of the composite for one of the files that we have. There's this one. That's for the 3D layers that we probably won't touch today. Looks kind of weird, but you'll see why, and we'll go and fix it. There's that one. There's this one as a PSD, and there's this one as an AI file. Okay, then we have some smoke that we're going to be using in the background to composite in, and then we'll be using the audio and marking the audio.
Say my name.
Okay? Keep playing through it over and over again. Very first thing, everybody, what I would like you to do, just grab the end logo AI for me, please. Just open that up in Illustrator first for me, please. Illustrator Cloud. Building stuff a little bit bigger today too. So open that file, Illustrator, everyone. Of course, Illustrator. You guys know properties of Illustrator. Vector file, resolution independent. So completely scalable, as we've gone over a few times before, right now. And we know from turning on some switches in After Effects, we can retain all that resolution independency. Now, if you look at this file, very much like the bare file that we did last week, the file size for this is already set. Okay, so I know I'm going to be building this out at HD. Just to see what the size is, everyone, if you open up your properties, go under Window and choose your properties right down here, and then click on Edit Artboard, you'll see that the size that we're building this at right now is 1920 by 1080, which is HD, okay? You'll also see that it's broken down into these different layers, and they're broken down like this with a purpose, of course, right? So they're broken down that I have background layer, they're broken down that I have the BR, they're broken down that I have the BA, and the D, and then the eking right on the end of it, okay? Okay, so once that's done, this has been planned out in this manner because this is exactly how I want the files to be laid out in After Effects, both their position and everything. That's laid right here, so the gradient and everything. You will also notice that if I go under File and I go down to Document Color Mode, you'll see that it's set to RGB. Okay? So RGB, we're using video, all video is in RGB. If it was in CMYK, you will have some problems. Either it's going to look very muddy, or sometimes your file just won't open. Okay? Because being a video program, that doesn't happen. Do you guys have Justin at all? You guys have Justin? No. Okay. That's somebody else that works here. At one time, he was interviewed for a job and he had to do an After Effects test. So one of the things that I did was I changed all the files to CMYK, okay, just to see if you could pick it out. That can happen. Sometimes if somebody gives you print files, your print files are going to be in CMYK, and they want you to make a video out of those print files. If you're having problems with After Effects, just make sure that you set that color mode to RGB before you try to import them in. Okay, so there's a file, there is the size, this is the how the layers are laid out. This is how we import it into After Effects. Just make sure that we have have everything exactly as it is right here. So color mode is the same, layers are the same, and you know, they're planned out this way so I can animate each one of these different elements in here separately. So each one of these can be animated separately. Okay, let me hide that file for right now, and we're just going to import this file in. Okay, so to import the file in everyone, multiple different ways to do it, as you guys know. So I can either just right click on it and go file import, grab the file, or what I'm used to doing is just double clicking on it, and it'll ask me to import that file. So I'm going to click on End Logo right there. Now the parameters that we have to set to bring all those files in together as they were in the Illustrator file. Very first thing is just make sure that all files are acceptable. You can see that I'm importing Illustrator, either a PDF, Illustrator file, or EPS. They all retain their resolution independency out of Illustrator, if that PDF was built in Illustrator. Import as footage. So if I import this as footage, it's going to flatten everything down into one layer and bring it over as just a flat piece of footage. That's not what we want for this. What I want for this is to import the footage as a composition, retaining the size of the layers that exist in Illustrator. So if I chose this one, it would import it in, yes, as a composition, but it would take the file size as the file that is the size that's already set in After Effects. And we don't want that because we've already set it up in Illustrator. So choose composition retaining layer sizes and make sure that you have create composition checked. Okay, once you have that done, click on open. And you will see that you have this Illustrator file right here. Well, this composition right here, let me just double click on it to open it up. You'll see that we have this file. The layer order is exactly the same as it was in Illustrator. And we already have a composition built for it. Okay, now of course there are no keyframes or anything set to it, but a lot of the work here has been done already because we already did that work in Illustrator. Now, the other thing that can be done, let's say for instance, you know, as you know, everything to After Effects is a dynamic link going to whatever software created it. So if I went back into Illustrator, and let's say I got in here and I chose one of the colors in here. Choose the B that's in here. Chose that B, I'm gonna switch this color out to something else. Save it. Go back over here. You can see that the B is going to change there, right? So whatever changes I make here will be reflected in the After Effects file. So let me go back over here and then resave it. And you can see that it's back to our existing file. My comp there is getting messed up. Might have to import that back. Something broke. Import that back in. We'll go yes, footage, composition, open. Okay, something broke in the Illustrator file. Oh. That's why. isolation mode. There's one. Let me see what's going on in my Illustrator file. File got cooked, it looked like. Hold on. Okay, something happened in my Illustrator file. Let me just import this in again. Let me put my after effects, guys, hold on. Alright, we're back. Sort of. Okay. Let me just open up my end logo again and we'll start animating this one out. Now, everything is all even here as far as the timeline goes. If you look at the finished end logo right here, you can see that everything is staggered. So we're going to time this out to bring different elements into play. So this is what ends up working best. We have to first composite our smoke in. So we have that smoke going across the background. And then on right at 1 second, we're gonna start bringing the elements of our logos in. And we'll have to tweak the time as we go, but we'll get the rough idea of it done first. Okay, so let's start, everyone. Let me just get these guys a little closer together right here. So here's this one. So very first thing, everybody, is the background. If you look in the folder, oh, well, you haven't imported that one in yet. So let's import the smoke in. Sorry, everybody. Let's go and import the smoke. So for the smoke, just leave that one as footage. You do not have to create a composition for the smoke, so uncheck that one and just import the smoke in. So we have our smoke layer right here. So With your timeline marker right at 0, everybody, just grab that smoke, drag and drop it right in. And we can turn these off for right now. We're gonna work at one element at a time. Now, you can see here's the smoke that we have going across, and you can see the size of the bounding box for the smoke right now. It's pretty big. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose that smoke layer and just scale it down a little bit, just to change the scale of it a bit like that. Now, as you guys know, to composite some of this thing, some of these elements in properly, just like you would in Photoshop with the different blending modes that you would have in your layers, we can do the same thing here. So right at the bottom right here, where it says toggle switches and modes, you can turn those on and off. So for right now, we would like to have our different modes up. So toggling modes. And you can see as I'm switching those back and forth, these two right here are switching. So you can either have both of them up at the same time, like this. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. You can have both of them turned on like that. Or you can switch them back and forth like that also. So right now, what I would like is to have my different modes up right over here. So these are the modes, these are the switches. Okay, so we're looking at modes right now. Okay, on the modes, everybody, for the smoke, anybody knows what makes black transparent? It makes it blend into the background a little bit. There's a few different options. Anyone? It's one of these guys right here. All right, so if I put on a screen, oh, who said that?
No, right.
If you put on the screen, you can see that screen does get rid of it, but if we have this kind of hazy sort of look on there, I want it to be kind of more burnt into the background. So instead of screen, the color dodge is going to be the one that works quite nicely. All right, so if you play that through right now, you can see that we have the smoke kind of composited on the background. No matter what the background is, we can get that smoke to kind of follow through and play through. All right, next everyone.
So workspace, you gotta change your workspace.
The BR of that logo, that starts at around 1 second. So I'm just gonna pull this back to 1 second. And we're just gonna scale this up into place. At probably about a second also. So let's see, so to scale it up, S for scale, everyone. And our endpoint for our scale, let's say it's going from 1 to
2 seconds.
let's try 2 seconds for right now. Might be a little bit slow. If it's too slow, we're gonna tighten it up a bit. Okay? So set a keyframe. So right there's at 100. Let's move it back to the beginning. And right here, it's going to be 0. Why is that at 50 something right now? Let me see something. Oh, geez, I scaled up the, I'm scaling up the smoke.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the wrong one. Let me back that up, everybody. Sorry, back up 1 second right here. All right, so S for scale. Let's move it back to around the 2 second mark. Set the keyframe so it's at 100 at the end. Move it back to the beginning, just like we did a few times last week. Set a 0 keyframe right here. All right, so 0. So it goes from here to here. Now you can see it's scaling right up from the center point right here. Where I would like it to actually center from is from the corner right here instead. So to do that, everybody, I'm going to make sure I have this layer selected. I'm going to grab the pan behind tool, this one right here. This tool.
Okay.
Make sure it's selected. I'm just going to grab this corner and just move this anchor point right to that corner right there. And I'm doing that for a reason, and you'll see in a bit. So here it is. So now it's scaling from this corner and up. So that's kind of the center point for everything, right? So there's my first scale up. Right when this one is finished, I'm gonna bring my other element in. So I'm going to grab my move tool, pull the other element over. I'm gonna turn it on first though. And this one I'm going to scale up also. So once again, S. Know my parameters for my scale, and move it to 3 seconds, set a keyframe. Move it back to the beginning, have it at 0. Now I might give them a little bit of overlap, I just wanna see how everything is feeling. I'm just doing a really rough animation for it right now. So 0, set my keyframe in, so this is what we have so far. It's looking okay. What I might do with the end of these is just add some eases to it for these keyframes at 100. So just like we've been doing, right click on it, go down to your keyframe assistant, ease in. And same for this one right here too. Keyframe assistant, ease in. It comes to a bit more of a gradual stop there. Okay, next everybody. We have let's work on well, let me see what I did the first time here. So from here to here, then the braking kind of types in. Now there are effects that we can use to actually type things in, but this time we're going to kind of fake it. We're going to fake it with a mask on here instead. Okay, so that's the next thing that comes up. So here we go, right at the end here. That braking's going to come in right here. So, and I'm just gonna change the layer order a bit. I like to have them kind of in sequence as I'm building them out. So, we don't really have to move this one because we can always trigger it with a mask. But just so we have a nice stacking order and a nice layer of everything going on, I am still going to grab this and just move it a little bit to the back. It's not necessary, but visually, as far as the layers go, I just want to see everything in sequence, okay? All right, so let's start off by just drawing a mask right over top of this text. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. So you can see where the bounding box for this is. I'm going to just go outside of that bounding box, make sure that that layer is selected, of course, and draw this in until we get our text back. Okay? Now, to give this the illusion that it's being typed out, everyone, first we're going to do it backwards, because it just makes more sense to me, so I can see it visually going this way. If you look at the mask, you'll see that the mask is set to add by default. I'm going to leave it on add for right now. And the one that I would like to change is the mask path. Click on the path, and I'm just going to grab the whole mask. Okay, so it's going to start off with the, right where it starts off here, it's holding it together, and then I'm just going to move it ahead just a little bit, and it's going to slide over like that, very, very quickly. I'm just getting in between the letters.
So each letter is gonna create a keyframe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is how it starts. Now keep in mind this is set to add. Eventually, everybody, I'm going to be switching this to subtract, so we get this instead. Okay? But for right now, I'm going to keep it on add, just right now. Okay, so we get the first part. And then what I'm going to do is just have it hold on each letter as we build it out. So right now on this one, I know from right here to right here is a movement. So I want to just hold it open here for a bit. So I'm going to just move it ahead a bit, copy this keyframe, and paste it back into this place. So at this point in between, it stays in the same place. Okay? Then once it's here, I'm going to move it ahead just a little bit again. Grab that mask, hold down my shift key, and drag it over again, like that. So once again, it's going to hold at this place. Hold on, I screwed that up. It's gotta stay right there. I gotta move it ahead. It was maybe a little bit too close. What I'm going to do, everybody, is just zoom in on this a bit by just clicking on my plus, because it's kind of detailed sort of work in here right now. So I'm gonna move it ahead a little tiny bit. So I'm just going like at a frame at a time almost. So right here it holds, right over here. So it holds right here, sorry, and then it moves right here. So let me move this one over, right the first time. Right in between. Copy this keyframe, move it down a bit, paste it in. Tiny bit ahead. 2 frames maybe. Hold on my shift key, slide that over again. In between the letters. Copy the keyframe, move it ahead, paste it in. So I'm just breaking up the time in between each one to make it a bit more uneven. And then that is the same for all of the letters in here. Copy it, shuffle it ahead a little bit, a little bit. Okay, so this is the kind of movement that it has right now. Okay, it just kind of stutters along. So right now it's wiping that text out. So let me zoom back out. And you can see, if you look at it, you can see the pattern of kind of what's going on. Let me zoom in on the pattern a little bit so you can see. So first break, then holds in between, second break, then holds in between, third, and so on. Okay? So now, instead of having it hide the text, what I'm going to do is have it reveal the text so it's typing it out. So I'm just going to change it from add to subtract instead. So it does this. Okay?
Okay, and just a quick question.
Yeah.
You started using the shift from A? I just wanted to make sure.
From the E, yeah.
From the
No,
E.
just to hold it straight, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to make any difference. Like in some places, if you look at my mask right here, oh, it's pretty straight.
Yeah.
But as long as this straight line right here is covering the letters, even if it goes up and down, it's fine.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, give you guys a little bit of time to get that done. Grab some water. Now you're not just pulling one side of the mask, I'm just moving the whole mask over. I know last week when we did it, we grabbed different points, but for something like this, just to keep it as simple as possible, if you look at the mask, you can see that the whole mask is moving. Okay, I'm not just pulling these 2 points on here, even though you could do that, like we did with the VMA one last week. But it's the same kind of effect. Okay, then after that, ing goes on everybody. I'm just gonna turn on the D and move the D, so it just gets a reveal right at the back. So right now we have something like this. Okay? All right, that's step number one, everybody. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. Something new in After Effects that you guys haven't done before, we're going to do something called parenting in After Effects. Now, if you remember at the beginning, everybody, I changed the anchor point of this one right to the corner. The reason for that is that I want everything to kind of scale up evenly. Now, I could move the anchor points for each one of these over to the corner, but if I parent each one of these elements to this one, the one that I move the anchor point to, everything's going to scale up at the same time, evenly, okay? So this is how it's done, everybody. If you look off to the side right here, you will see something called parent and link, right over here. You guys see that, right here? And you have these things that look like a little snail upside down, and After Effects you call it a pick whip. So what I'm going to do is parent all of these to this one and have this one be the driver for the scale for everything else. Okay? So this is how you do it. Okay, so I'm going to grab the BA over here. I'm going to grab the pick whip. So you get this little string that kind of hangs off of it. I'm going to drag it and move it onto the BR. Okay? So, and you'll see that it'll change right here to 4, layer number 4, BR. Okay? All of these have to say the same thing. So, right here again, pick whip, layer number 4, BR, layer number 4, BR. For all of them. So they're all connected to this one. At least all of the logo is connected to this main one right here. So what I would like to do, everybody, well, the first thing I'm going to do is just select everything. Okay, I'm going to click on U to open up my keyframes just so I can see them. Now, right at this point right here where that D comes in, I'm going to start doing a really subtle scale of everything up. Now, I already have a scale going right here. So what I'm going to do, or even before the D, because the D doesn't have any keyframes on it. What I'm going to do on the BR layer now is set another keyframe just by clicking on the little diamond right here. Don't click on the stopwatch again because you'll wipe out your keyframes. But if I go to this little diamond down here on the BR layer for the scale, and I click on it, give myself another, well, I don't have to do it in all of them, sorry, I just need one layer selected, just the BR layer. Click on that, you'll see that I get another keyframe. And then if I move this, I'm gonna move it to 8 seconds. And I'm going to just give this a subtle scale. Now you'll notice as I scale this up now, that everything's starting to scale, even though the other ones don't have any scale parameters on them right now, right? So I'm just gonna scale this up a bit. So from here to here, it's gonna start scaling. Okay, everything's gonna start scaling. Okay? Okay, make sure you have that working for the logo, everyone.
It's not scaling.
Now, the other thing, 8 seconds is a lot of time for this. Well, I think mine's at 11 seconds, I'm gonna move it to 8 seconds. So once again, I'm gonna trim this down. If yours isn't at 8 seconds, let me just, that's at 801, 801's fine. Anybody remember how we trim this? The work area? 2 letters, everybody. B and N, which one is it? N, N for N, okay?
Okay.
So, click on it, click on the letter N. If yours isn't at 8 seconds, and then right click on it, trim comp to work area. Or, if you really like, you can always go into composition, and go into your composition settings and change the work area to 8 seconds there also. Either way works. Okay. Now, as this starts scaling up, everybody, right at this keyframe right here, I'm going to introduce an adjustment layer to it. And as you guys know, an adjustment layer is a very non-destructive way of adding an effect to all the layers that live underneath it. And then whatever effect I put on that layer will affect all the layers further down, okay? So to add an adjustment layer, everybody, this is what you do. Go under layers, go under new, choose adjustment layer. So just make sure that your layer is right on top of, and mine's down here, right on top of the layer. So the adjustment layer has to live on the top layer. Just make sure it's lined up with that D layer wherever you had that started. Okay, so this is our end slate that we're working on for this short little bumper that we're working on. So let's add our effects to it. So go into your effects and presets, everybody, and I would like you to type in CC light, and I believe it's CC either light rays or light bursts. Let me see which one I used. This one right here. Light burst. Okay. So let me go back into this logo and grab that CC light burst and just drag it onto that new adjustment layer. And you'll see stuff starting to happen already. And let's relabel this too, just so we know what it is. Okay, so CC light burst. Okay, so with that CC light burst on, everyone, let's turn everything down to 0 to start. 0, 0 for the center, and 0 for the intensity. Okay, so everything is back to where we started. Okay, once you have everything back to where you started, set a keyframe for the intensity and for the ray length at 0. If I click on the letter U, I can see my 2 keyframes that I just set right here. So I'm going to have it moving in like this, and then let's say at around 6 seconds, I'm just going to move these keyframes right up. I want everything to stay true up to that point. And then at 7 seconds, we're going to start to get a little bit of intensity popping up and a little bit of the ray length popping up. So slowly, so over from here to here, it's slowly fading up. And then right at that last second, going to that 8 second, I'm gonna crank this up. So all the way up until it just goes white, like that. So we get something that looks like this. Now I might have to adjust some of those keyframes a bit, but I want it to flash white right at the end. Now these effects take a little bit longer to render out. If you have it on full, if you want it to render out a little quicker, just to see what it's going to look like right now. You can also just change it to half or even a third, because it's scaled down quite a bit, and it'll render it a lot quicker. Now, just looking at this, I would like my flash to be a little bit quicker at the end, so I'm just gonna grab these two, well, all of these keyframes. And here's another thing you can do, everybody. If your keyframes are too stretched out and the timing of everything is a little bit slow, and you have multiple keyframes that you'd like to move, like you could do this, everybody. You could grab them here and move this one over here, grab these, move it here, and then grab these, and then move it closer, and keep doing it, shuffling them along. To do that all at once again, just grab all of the keyframes, hold down your Option key, and you can tighten them up that way. You can see I can pull them in and out like that. So I'm gonna start this at around the 7-second mark right here. I'm gonna tighten this one up even more, so it just kind of flashes white towards the end. So let's see what that looks like. That looks better. Okay, so make sure you have something like that. That's our end slate that we're building out. And then just to really finish this off, sometimes, everyone, this is not completely fully white at the end. So just right where this little flash happens at the end, just to be on the safe side, what I'm going to do is go under layer, add a new solid. That solid, I'm going to make sure that it is white. Like, okay, just gonna have a little bit of white right on the top right there. I'm going to open up my transparency for it by clicking on T. Set a keyframe with it at 0 first. Move it ahead right before it ends. And crank it back up to 100, just so I know it's 100% white at the end when I don't have anything kind of hanging out at the end. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Now there's some things I would change in here. I might want to change maybe the quickness of some of these scaling up, but I'll leave it for right now. I'll wait until everything starts to come together, then I'll tweak everything. Okay, then just to have things nice and neat, select all, click on the letter U, lock everything away, and you're ready to hand that off to whoever else is gonna work on it. Okay? Everyone get that working okay so far?
The light burst, you added on top, or did you add it?
That goes on the adjustment layer, and that lives right on the top.
On top of D, right? That's
Yeah.
what you. Basically,
everybody.
That's what I got it.
Let us move on a little bit. The next file I'd like you to open, everyone. Well, I want you to open this in Photoshop first. Let's open up the, just the Breaking Bad 10 file. Right click on that, click on Open in Photoshop. And you can see we have this file right here. Now, all the work has already been done and flattened down on this for you. This was just done with a overlay effect to make that image yellow. And just has a yellow background on it, like that. So we're going to implement some of the same things that we did before as far as the smoke is concerned, and importing this one in the same. However, if we look at the size of this, everyone, let's go under image, and let's go under image size. The size of this is 1600 by 900. So this is actually smaller than the size that we want this to be. And keep in mind that this image right here, let me cancel this, just so you can see. This image right here, his head's kind of cut off of the side, so no part of it lives outside of this. So that might be a problem if I'm scaling stuff down a little bit or scaling stuff up. So what I would like to do is to change the size of this and to resample it so it's a lot bigger than the composition that I have. So I have a little bit of room on the outside to play with. Okay, we know that we're building this at 1920 by 1080. So what I'm going to do is to go under image, image size, everyone. And what I'm going to do is enlarge this. So right here, instead of 1600, I'm going to overshoot this a bit, and I'm going to go 2500 and keep that linked together. And I always like to just kind of check out what the quality is doing. Make sure that when you scale it up like that, that you have the resample settings changed to preserve details for enlargement. Okay, which is a pretty cool thing that Photoshop does. It's actually building extra pixels in there to retain the resolution and just the image quality overall. So we can see how much bigger this one is. Once we have this size right here, I'm just going to click on OK, and you'll see that this will get scaled up. So we're going to bring it in bigger than it is, and then we're going to change the comp size after we get it into After Effects. Okay, so of course you have to save it. Once it's saved, we have a new size right now. So what I'm going to do is go back into After Effects, and we're going to import this one in. So double click on it, open it up. Let me make sure I'm going into the right footage folder. Oh, I don't want to bring in the whole footage folder. Let me undo that. So you don't want to do that this time because it might flatten the image, or it might not treat it exactly how you want it to be treated, right? So let me slow down a little bit while I do that. There's the new sample size right there. So for this sample right now, everybody, yes, it would have brought it over as footage. I do want to change that to composition again, retaining the layer sizes. Honestly, this is the one that I use most of the time. It's the most non-destructive way to bring something in. Sure, sometimes you might have a layered file that you want to flatten. That's fine, then update it in Photoshop. But you can do either one this way. So I'm going to choose composition, retaining layer sizes again. And for this one also, I want to create a composition. Okay, so create your composition for that. Click on open. And it's going to ask if you want to either merge the layers. And no, we do not want to merge the layers. I want to keep the layers editable and keep all the layer styles and everything there. Okay, so make sure that you have editable layer styles selected. Click on open, and you will get, here it is right here, Photoshop, and we have a comp. If I double click on the comp here, take a little bit of a while to open, let me just refresh it. Okay, so once that's done, if I check out the composition settings for this one, you will see that it's the same exact size that we changed it to in Photoshop, and we brought it over here. Once again, I'm gonna change this from 11 seconds, I might as well do it right here now to 8 seconds instead. Okay, now, as mentioned, we're building things at 1280 by 720, not 1280 by 720, 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to go into my composition settings, and I'm going to change the size back to 1920 by 1080. And you can see that the size of it is changing here. As soon as I click off of that, I'll go to just a different window right here. You'll see that the size changes. And you can see what the original size of it was by the box that's left right here. Once you have that at 8 seconds, 1920 by 1080, now we can start building on this one. And we have room to play with this outside a little bit, maybe having it scale up a little bit, or having the background shift, or whatever it might be, right? So let's click on OK. The other thing that we will need for this one, everyone, is the audio. I'm going to use the audio for timing the text on this one. So, click, grab the voiceover, and you don't have to create a comp for this one. Just the MP3 is fine. Click on the MP3, bring that in, drop it in, right underneath. Okay, so this is what we have so far.
Now, say my name.
Okay? Now, if you listen to this,
Now,
it has a little click right at the beginning,
now,
and I don't like that click. We'll turn it up a little bit so you guys so I can hear it.
now,
Just that little click right at the beginning.
now.
I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay? So to get rid of that, everybody, let's just open up everything in our audio, our levels, and our waveform together so we can see both of them. And I'm just gonna wait to hear that click. So if you wanna sample this, of course, everybody, you know, if you hold on your command key, just click on it. Get that click right here. So right in around this spot right here, I just wanna turn that down. So once again, I'm gonna set my audio levels right where I want them to start from, right here. I'm gonna click on this, where it's at 100, then at the beginning, I'm gonna turn it down to 0, or just way past 0. So let's see how that sounds.
Now,
It's still, I can still hear it a bit, so I'm gonna grab both of these and just start moving this along until that click is gone.
now,
Still a little bit. I don't wanna get rid of the now though.
now,
That's better. Okay, so here is the now, right here.
now, 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 now.
All right, so that's where we're gonna place our marker in for now. And I'm going to mark them, just in case I have to hand this off to somebody, that they know where everything is. So to add the marker in, does anybody remember? What was it? Number 8, and what? Control and 8 on a mouse. Okay, if you are on a PC, or if you have a numeric keypad, it's just the asterisk key. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is just label these markers this time. So this marker, if I double click on it, this one says now, okay? And then I'm going to listen to it, and I'm just gonna drop those markers in where it says say my name on there. So I'm going to click on play.
Now, say my name.
Okay, so there we go. Right here. You might have to listen to it a couple times.
Say my name.
And let me listen for the other one.
Now,
Oh, the audio is a little bit we're using this one for the master. Let me see how long the audio is. 25. Okay, we'll leave this one right here for now. We might have to copy and paste some of the audio over. So on this one, it says, say my name. Okay, so just mark those off so we know exactly where everything is, and then we can start doing some stuff with the text right here.
Now, say my name.
Okay, just make sure all of those drop right into place. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna work on just some subtle movements. I'm gonna drop the smoke in here right now, maybe have them scale up a little bit to add some intensity to the whole spot. So let's start off with that. So we already have our smoke layer. I'm gonna grab the smoke and place the smoke in between the two layers again. Scale it down a little bit. Change the blending mode, just like we did before. So we get a little bit of smoke moving in the background. I'll let you guys get your audio set. Double click on the marker.
Say my name.
There you go. Yeah, type it in there. You're gonna have nightmares tonight. Oh, where the headphones are, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, rule of thumb for After Effects classes, just always have pair of headphones on, just in case. Go. It's disconnected. These videos are online. How are you guys doing with the audio Okay, everybody. Let's move on. So we're gonna do like a really slow fade up of Walter here. So let's do this. I'm going to set, click on scale on his layer. And once again, everyone, I want him kind of scaling out from the outside, not from his face right here. So let's move that anchor point so we can define where we want to scale it from. You guys pick wherever you would like to scale it from, okay? I'm gonna do right in the corner of his glasses right there this time. Different every time. Okay, so click on S for scale, and then just over the period of this 8 seconds, I'm just going to just give it a subtle scale, like maybe like that. So not much at all. So really subtle, just to get a little bit of movement though.
Say my name.
Okay? Alright, now that we have that, everybody, let's work on the first letter that comes in, or the first text that comes in. So, I'm gonna move a little bit ahead for that text. I'm gonna grab my text tool and just type in now. That's not the font that I want, so let's choose a different font. You guys can choose whichever font you like, of course. I want something a little bit bolder than that. Oswald bold for me. And I'm gonna scale that a little bit.
So we can now.
Okay, so I'm gonna build it on top first. But of course I want it to kind of slide into place. So click on P for my position. Set a keyframe behind him. And right when it gets to now, I definitely want it to arrive right when now is there. So let's move it forward. And the other thing I'm going to do, everybody, while I'm building this out, I should have on my safe title, safe action area, which you find right here, just so I can see where everything's being laid out. We're working at 16 by 9, so as long as I keep all of my text in this inside area right here, that will work out fantastically. So I'm going to move it over a little bit more like that. And once again, use my keyframe assistant and ease that in place. So we have something that looks like this.
Now.
Okay? So right after it says now though, everybody, unlike what's online, I'm going to use a text effect on this to have it kind of fade out. Now, this is what I'd like you to do. And I don't know if you may or may not have this on your, installed in your machine. I'm just gonna use Adobe Bridge so I can preview some of the different text effects that are there. So this is how you see them, okay? On the little hamburger menu that's in your effects and presets here, everyone, if I click on it and go down to where it says Browse Presets, so click on it, Browse Presets, it will open up Adobe Bridge for you. If you don't have Bridge, that's fine. I'm just going to show you how it works right now. If you do have Bridge, fantastic, you can follow along. This is just a means of me to preview the different text that I have now. You'll see the path to it: computer, Macintosh applications, After Effects, and presets. Okay, within my presets, I want to go to text. Within my text, because I already have the text sliding in, I want to find a way to animate the text out. Click on Animate Out. And there's one here here, fade out by character. If you click on each one of these, you can see that you get a little preview of what that text is going to look like. Now, I'm just noting the name of all of these right here. There's lots of different effects just for text, but not just for text, for a lot of different things you can find in here. It's just a way to preview what exists in here, so you know what you're adding before you add it. Okay, so there's one, fade out. Fade out's one that I would like to use. So let me just hide bridge for a second. So in the effects and presets, it used to be that you could just double click on it and it would be added to that layer, but that's changed right now. So right now I'm just gonna type fade out. And there's a bunch of different fade outs for text, fade out character, fade out slow. There's another one right here, blur and fade out. I'm gonna try the blur and fade out. That was in the blur, but I didn't see it before. So I'm gonna grab my blur and fade out, just drag it down to this layer. Drop it in. And let's see what it does. You can see where the keyframes live for it, even though we can't edit them right now. To see all the keyframes, of course, everybody, it's the letter U. So this is the kind of motion that this has, okay? So that comes out pretty quickly.
Say my name.
So I need it to be ended before that say my name starts up. Okay, so I'm going to grab these keyframes and just pull them in a little tighter, giving it some time to breathe. Leave it now a little bit longer. So this is what it's looking like. I'm just changing the timing of this.
Say my name.
The now could be stretched out a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do, everybody, is to stretch this text out a little bit this way. Pull this keyframe forward a bit so that now slides it a little bit slower. I'm finding it a little bit fast. So
Now. Say.
now that's good. I think I like that. Okay, so it fades out right here. And once again with this, I'm gonna do a keyframe assistant ease in towards the end.
Say my name.
Okay, then the say my name can be added in.
Now. Say my name.
Let that breathe a little bit longer. And of course, I'm gonna change the layer order of this so that text comes from behind his head this time.
Now. Say.
Okay.
Okay, so fix your timing on that.
Now. Say.
And maybe on this, I'll add a tiny little bit of motion blur to that text coming in also. So I'll turn on the motion blur right here. In the global settings for After Effects, here first. And then I can't see it now, I don't have the right settings up, so I'm just gonna turn my switches and turn on that motion blur over here also.
Now. Say my.
And turn off the audio, just start up. Okay, so once that's done, that layer, I'm happy with it. Do a quick select all. And click on U to hide that stuff. I don't like my layers getting too messy. And right now I know that the say my name is going to come in these spots right here. So what I'm going to do is grab my text tool again and type in exactly what it says. Say, I'm gonna start off with it over here. I'm gonna do it a little bit differently than how it was online. I'm just gonna stack it right beside his head. So there's say, duplicate this layer, Command D, drop this layer down. And then move it to the right spot. Command D again. Drag it down. everything is timed properly.
Now, say my name.
And of course, a little period is behind that also, so not too much further. Just drop the period in. Get a little tighter.
Now, say my name.
Okay. All right, what time is it? Okay, everybody, work up to this point, I'll let you guys have a quick break. So take, 10 minutes. And then we'll wrap it up towards the end. All right, no break, I guess.
Say my name. Say my name.
Nobody going for break? No? Yes?
Shit.
You guys wanna keep going and then I just let you out when it's done? Stick around for help?
Trying to catch up.
I'll give you guys some time to catch up. That's fine. Start back in 10 minutes.
setting up the building. This is the garage. Yeah, we was trying to use that. Okay. Yeah, it's just trying to make it work. Yeah. Let's see.
Ready to get rolling? All right. All right, I'll show you guys how some of this was built out before we get going again, everybody. Like I said, we're building a shorter version of it today. Okay, so let's just have, let me go back to the video here. Not that one, but. This one right here, so this is what we have coming up right now. Well, of course, we're changing things a little bit. We have a color shift coming up, but we're gonna do that very, very last. We have his name coming on there, and then we have the transitions coming through. Okay, so a couple things we're gonna have to change. I'm gonna stretch the file back out with the scaling up. So probably up to 15 seconds, so we have a little bit of overlap. And then we have this transition coming here, so we have like some track mats fading on and off in between the two of these. And then we have a logo at the end. Okay, so let's look at the structure of that. Close that on this folder. So this is what we have. This is a different version, but the files are the same. So on this one, we have, coming up right here, we have the transition part built in, right, coming up here. Okay, so logo and transition right here, these two parts right here. So let's double click on these to open these up. So one is just the end logo, which we already built, and then the other one is the transition that's on the top that we're using as a track map. Right? So to show this in action, everybody, here's the end logo right here. So and then that transitions to the logo right at the end. So a few little flashes here. The adjustment layer change at the top, for the color change. And then it's flashing through. So this is what the transition looks like, everyone. If you look at it, what we have here is a scale and a rotation, and we have a white box scaling up, and then we have a black box scaling up inside of it also. Okay, and as you guys know, with track mats, the white's gonna hold on to it, depending on which mode you set it in, of course. You can use that as a transition going from one to the next. Okay, so to build out the track mat, everybody, what I'm going to do, let's see, the track mat is only a few frames. We look at the composition settings for the track mat. It is only 1 second and 15 frames. Okay? So let's build that out. So under compositions, dimension. And I'm gonna keep this one at 1 second, 15 frames. Okay. Then I'm going to open up my save title, save action area, just so I have a little spot in the middle. I'm going to grab my rectangular tool. I'm going to have a fill of white to start. I'm going to hold down my command and my shift and just draw a little rectangle in the middle, like that. Now the scale is going to be different depending on how big your rectangle is, I mean your square that you have in there, but what we're going to need on here are our global settings of rotation and scale. So scale is going to start off at 0. Then let's say over like 15 frames, I think I did it at 16 frames. I'm gonna scale this up. Goes way on the outside like that. And then I'm going to rotate it a bit also. So I'm going to rotate it at around 40. And then my scale, I have to make sure that I don't have any corners showing right there, so I'm scaling it up even more. Like that. So there is 1. Whoops. And sorry, my rotation. I didn't set a keyframe for the rotation. So this one here is at 0. And this one here is at 40. Okay, so we get this kind of movement. And then once that one is done, I can duplicate it, Command D, make a copy of it. I'm going to slide this one forward a little bit like that. Once that one slid forward, all I'm going to do with it is change the color. So it's selected, I'll change the color to black instead. So we get this. Happening throughout. And then I can just duplicate the bottom one, Command D, move it to the top, slide it back a little bit further, or overlap. And you can see just by doing that, you start to get this pattern going through. Drop this one, Command D, copy of it to the top. Slide it back. The only thing is that you have to end up on a white layer. So one more. Make a copy of it and slide it to the back. So you get this. As long as you end up on white, and that white has to be brought all the way through. So let me grab my keyframes for that one. And shove it a little bit too far back. Push some of these forward a bit. So build out your track map like that, right? Okay, give you guys a few seconds to build that out. Minutes. composition, everyone, if we look at the final assembly here, the length of the whole thing is around 23 seconds, 22 for the smaller one that we're working on today. So let's start changing the comp. If you look at how this has been set up, everything has been kind of pre-composed together, minus the logo and everything is in there. We're gonna build this one a little bit differently. So let's build a master comp where we can start putting all of these different pieces and parts in together. Okay, so master comp, here's the composition settings for it. So 1920 by 1080, and for right now it's going to be 23 seconds. Okay, in that master comp, what I would like you to do, everyone, is to go to the one with the audio that you had in there, the voice audio with the markers on it. Not that one, but this one. Copy the audio from here and drop it into the master one, so we still keep our markers and everything. Go back to that master one, turn off the audio on this one. We don't need it anymore. And for this one, actually, I'm going to change the length of this. Instead of 8, 8's a little bit short, so I'm going to change it from, go into my composition settings and change it to, I'm going to say probably 12 seconds to be on the safe side. And then for all of these here, you can always just pull these layers out so they go right to the end. And then the only thing that we really had a keyframe on was this one right here, his name. So if we look at the keyframes for this one, click on you can see it stops right here. I'm going to just pull that out, so he scales up over the longer period of time. Now, the only other thing that we're going to have to do is to see where he says his name at the end and then get rid of this text right here. So we can have a fade out, we can add another effect to it, multiple things we can do with it. Okay? So let's get this one lined up. So the name of this one is Breaking Bad class file. That one is going into the master comp. Okay, so that's where we're starting. Timeline marker at 0. Drop it in. Audio and everything should line up perfectly here.
Now, say my name.
Okay, so audio is there. Now I'm just listening to when he actually says his name. So right around here, it says his name. So at that point, so at around 9 seconds, I'm gonna have this stuff fade out. Okay? So let me go back to that comp again. And go back into my effects and presets. I have that fade out one already done right here, so I think I'm going to use it sequentially in here, so they each kind of fade out in a staggered sort of way, kind of how they came in. So I'm going to use that polar fade out again, drop it in here, drop it on this one, and drop it on this one. And can't forget the period I'm just gonna turn off. Okay, so there it is at around my 9-second mark right there. Let's see the keyframes for each one of these. I'm gonna grab all these keyframes and just get it to kind of fade out all together. So first one is say. I'm gonna move say up. As long as they're all done before he says his name, that's what I'm looking for. Grab this one here, so say. Oops. Let's just see what that looks like. So a little bit slow, so I'm gonna tighten these all up. Pull this in a little bit there, pull these in here, and pull this one in. Oops. Not both, just the one, so it's a little bit quicker fade out. Even a little quicker yet. Stagger these a little bit tighter. I might as well use one for the period too, I guess. So just adjust the keyframes to your liking, everyone. There's, check your timing on these, of course. But every time I do this, as you can see, it's a little bit different. So just to go back to the master to see what that looks like.
Say my name.
Oh, then he says his name right around. So get another text layer. Scale it in so it fits a little bit better. Take you right up to the save tile area. And then I just want to check it for timing. Pretty darn close. Okay, along with that, while I'm going with the old text effects, I'm going to go into my effects and presets, and I might as well look for an animate in or fade in. See if there's anything available. And of course, I can't really see what it looks like. I always like to see what it looks like instead of going through the trial and error. So under my effects and presets again, I'm going to go back into my browse presets, into my text, and I'm going to look for animate in. And I had success in that blur folder, so let me look in the blur folder here again, the text. I might use this one, harsh blur maybe.
That's good. Harsh blur is good. How do you use that up for?
Harsh blur it is.
Yeah.
So in the blurs, harsh blur by character, I'm gonna grab that one, drop it right down here. Check the timing on it, of course, by looking at the keyframes, clicking on the letter U. I'll bring them a little bit more to the front, like that. And let's see what that does. A little bit off. That looks good, a little bit quicker. Okay, now it's better. and running out of space, so I'm just gonna keep adjusting this until I get the spot that I like. So, right before he says Heisenberg though, I'm gonna start switching the color of this to that green, everybody. So, once again, actually, I'll leave that for the very last thing. Leave that for the last thing to do. Let's look at our transition.
That's the tax sector.
For this one, it would make more sense, everybody, if I did the text in the other one. So if this one ends at, I wanna have the text fade out also. So I'm gonna have to make this even longer. So right now it's at 12, I'm gonna set it to 15. Now this is what you have to do sometimes when you're building stuff out, you're adjusting your timing as you go in each different comp. So I'm going to go into my comp setting for this one, instead of 12, I'm gonna stretch it way out, go 16 on this. And then go in and make my adjustments as far as the layers are concerned. Just pulling everything out. And then I believe it would make more sense to make the text in that new layer. So I'm just gonna grab the text that I built right here. I already have the timing and everything down. I'm just going to click on this layer, copy it. Go into this one, paste it in. See it's down here way at the bottom, move it up to the top. So we can see it fading in. And then I also want it to fade out too. And for it to fade out, I already have it set on these keyframes right here, for the text to fade out. So I'm gonna have it fade out the same way that it fades in. So two different effects working here. I'm just gonna copy these keyframes, move them to this layer, right when it fades in right there. I'm gonna paste these in. Oops, wrong layer. Click on you, clean that up. It's not liking it. Okay, I'll have to do this a quick and dirty way, everybody. What I'm going to do with the text right here is just do a simple opacity fade out on it towards the end. So click on Shift and T, bring up your opacity. All I'm going to do is set a keyframe for my opacity on here. Again at 100. And then just fade it out. Longer fade. Alright, so let's see what that's looking like in the master. I don't need this layer anymore. I'm gonna just turn it off. Or just get rid of it. Stretch this back out. You can see that as I change the comp size, it changes over here also for the duration. Okay, that's better. Then we will get into our track mat. Just listening to the audio.
You're goddamn
Okay, so for the transition to the track mat, everyone, transition lives where? On top, bottom, side? Where's it go? Anybody? From stuff we did last week? Last week, 7 days. A long time. Anybody?
What was the question?
Where does track mat go? Does it go under the layer, above the layer, beside the layer?
Let us go underneath. Underneath the layer. I think it's underneath there. But you want it there too.
I think I'm gonna start doing some quizzes next year.
No.
Yeah. Quizzes are coming.
I know you put the image on that you want.
Alright. I will just do it.
It goes on top of the image.
There we go, got an answer. I'll take it. We got this. Right? So if we go on this layer right now, switch it back over here. And we go to what on our track maps?
Let me see. Right there. Oh, no. That's only in the seven.
Alpha or Luma? Actually, it doesn't matter for this one, because it's a shape layer, that's a vector, so either one's gonna work on this one. But why is it not being nice here? Should have a bunch. Oh, it's just doing a shape layer, that's why. So it does matter, so let's switch it to that instead. Zoom up. And we're just seeing the black underneath it right now, so if we started to grab our other layer right here, where is it? The logo layer that we built. Logo 2, end logo, and grab my end logo and drop it underneath. You can see that we have this being staggered over like this, right? And by then, that other one has to fade out. So somewhere where we have the logo up full, that's gonna fade out. So we have the transition, and then we have the color now too. Right, so we're gonna have this start to blend across like this. Now, we also have the issue of having the track mat on here knocking this out already. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer, Command D, make a copy of it, and make sure that it doesn't have any track mat on this bottom one right here. My After Effects break again. Okay, After Effects broke. Hold on there, everybody. I'm gonna have to do something here. Get rid of my track mat for a second. drag that in again. See if it breaks again. I'm gonna have them staggered like this in time. I think it got latched onto the other track mat and screwed it right up. Okay, so we grab the track mat, the transition, throw it on the top. Now we're happening right there, which is what we want. Then on this one, let us try that again. That is what we want, but it screwed it in the beginning. No, it didn't this time. I don't know. Same exact thing, but one way it screwed it, the other way it didn't. Okay. Not sure why it did that the first time. Alright, so here we have it. So we have a duplicated layer underneath. We have where we want the logo to come in, and we have the track mat happening at the same time, right here.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do next is just have this kind of fade to green. So once again, right there is good. Right when it says "Say My Name" fades out, his name pops up right there, and we just start changing that. Maybe a little bit before, changing it to green. So let's go under layer, go to new, and go to new adjustment. Then layer, excuse me. And then on that new adjustment layer, which is going to live probably right above everybody right there, because I want everything else to start turning to green. I can't remember if I used a tint on it the first time. Let me see. I think I'll probably use a tint. Seems to be the easiest way to go. So let me go back into the master. So on this one right here, this new adjustment layer, I am going to look for tint. Grab my tint. Drop it on here. It's going to change the color of everything for right now. But what I would like to do, I'm going to turn down my tint amount for right now. And I just want to pick this greeny sort of color with the eyedropper from the black that's on here. So grab that green. So I'm going to be able to change it to, let me turn it back up. So the whole thing's going to be this greeny sort of color. And then the whites, or maybe another way to do it, sorry. I might just use a hue and saturation on it, might be better. I want to keep the richness of it. The tint's kind of blowing it out, so let me go under effect, go to color correction, go to hue and saturation on there, and I just want to find out where that tint color is. You can see you can start changing the color that way, or you can actually use, let me zero that back out, you can go to colorize also. Choose your color right here. That's probably more it right there. So all you would have to do then is to turn on the opacity on this one. Click on T for opacity on your adjustment layer. Start it off at 0. And as that whole transition is happening, you can start fading that color up. So let me crank it up to 100. So it's going to start from here like this. It's going to start turning that green color.
Goddamn right.
at some point when that logo is up, it'll go through the transition for the logo. And then right here, I still wanna bring that richness back, so on the adjustment layer right here, I'm gonna fade that back out to 0. Oop, not there though, gotta wait for this to be done.
Pretty much.
Heisenberg. You're goddamn right. Now,
And our little flash ends up at the right spot, right at the end. So overall, this is a breakdown of the
say
spot.
my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right. Now,
Okay. Okay, so it's getting tricky. Some of the stuff was, don't usually do a lot of this stuff in first year, but, the track mats I know can start to get a little bit complex, and then, as you can see, they can break stuff. So just to show you what has happened here, everyone, once I added the track mat to this section right here, if I turn off this one right here, there's nothing there, okay? Because I already have the track mat applied to it, so it's just seeing everything as black right now on there. Nothing's gonna happen until that track mat comes into play. So I need this layer underneath it that doesn't have the track mat on it to start working. So it goes all the way through. So the original layer right here with the color on it, the one with the track mat on it, right here. The track mat comes into play right here, and then it transitions to the logo that we built at the beginning. Okay, now, I don't know if we're gonna do this or not, but let me show you this for right now. You know what, why don't I let's do a quick intro to 3D layers in After Effects, and then we're gonna do it again next semester anyway. If you look at this one here, everybody, you can see we're having this kind of parallax movement right here. It looks like the camera's zooming in on him and stuff like that. For that to happen, we have to have 3D layers set up. So let's do this. We're gonna do a very simplified version of the same thing. So how this, we're not gonna have time for everybody to go through the pen tool and cut him out. If we take off that JPEG right there, it has this one underneath. You saw the Photoshop file with that one. So that's just so that when I'm moving him, I still have the extended background around him that had to be photoshopped in after. Because if he's moving out of the way, there's parts of him that didn't exist that need to be repainted on together. So that's just clone stamp tool work going on in the background. So we extended the windows, we extended the ground, we extended everything where he used to be got drawn back in. So like a piece of this bin is down here right now. So we just had to patch up everything that was missing from here and rebuild it. Okay, so a lot of Photoshop work. That's one thing you'll find out about 3D work in After Effects. I would say like almost 80% of your work is done in Photoshop. Pen tool. Pen tool, pen tool, pen tool. Okay. All right, so let's not cut this out, but I'll show you the 3D setup, okay? This is an exercise that we'll do next semester also. If everybody goes into their composition, just go into your composition, open up a new composition for me, please. Doesn't matter really about the size or anything, right, or the duration. We're just going to mess around with some 3D layers for right now. Click on that for me, please. Let's build ourselves another background. Command Y, everybody. Drop that background in there and let's throw a gradient on it. matter what the gradient is, just make sure it's not awful looking like this one. And when you're done with this background color, let's just lock it, because we don't need it anymore. Okay, layer is locked. And then, once we've done that, everybody, let's open up our save title and save action. You'll get lots of 3D next semester. Okay, everybody have something like this done? Next, everybody, let's do this. Let's make some different colored rectangles in here. So let's just build out one first. Start in the middle, Command and Shift, draw one out. Duplicate these layers for me, please, so these shape layers. Every time you duplicate one of them, change color. So Command D, that one is red. This one's going to be blue. Command D, next one is green or something. Command D, change the color again. And one more. Command D, my After Effects is starting to die. Yellow. Okay, so we have all these different colors on here. We might as well give them some quick names so we know which one is which. So the first one right here is yellow, or even better, turn it off. And what we can actually do, everybody, is just color code all of these instead of typing. Typing it takes a while. So click on it, yellow. Our next shape, what color is it? This one here is let's see, that's green. Next one here is looks like a teal. We have teal in here. All right, we'll go with cyan then. This one's gonna be blue. And this last one can be red. Okay, so I just associated the color with each one of the shapes. And then the background on can be purple. Okay. Okay, so there are all of our different colors. I just changed the color so we can understand where they are. What you'll find once things are in 3D, everybody, that the layer order right here doesn't coincide with the layer order up here, if that makes sense. All right, just watch for right now, please, everyone. I am going to turn on my switches here. And you can see on all of these, I now have this little cube over here that if I turn on this cube and select the layer, let me turn these layers back on though. Select the layer, instead of just having an anchor point, I have this little 3D gizmo on it right now. Okay, just like you guys have seen in cinema before. So I'm gonna turn all of these on. Okay, so right now, all of these live in the same space. If I move this over on my x-axis, I can see the other one behind it, but that's no real difference from me actually seeing like a bunch of flattened layers, right? So, If I wanna see these in 3D or to layer these out in 3D, if I go to where it says active, well, if I go to where it says view one, I'm gonna change it from view one to two views. You'll see two views over here, and you'll recognize some of this layout kind of from cinema. So I have my active camera view, and I have my top view right now. If I go to the bottom right here, I'm gonna grab the red one. I have red selected. I'm gonna grab the red one and push it way to the back. And I can see it moving back right here. You can see it getting smaller. It's not actually, the scale of it isn't changing, but it's moving further back in 3D space. And of course, you might think that you would stop on the canvas right here, but you can push this out as far as you want in 3D space, right? I'm gonna grab the blue one right here and do the same thing. I'll push it over here. Maybe I'll lift this one up to the top. Like that. Then I'll grab this one. I'll grab this one. I'll move this one back a little bit also. Maybe I will drop it down to the bottom. So these are all in 3D space right now. I'll push this one, just layering them out in 3D space. Then maybe this one right here, I'll push this one. This side over here looks a little empty. Let me move it over here and maybe down to the bottom. And the yellow one, I'm just gonna leave right where it is, okay? So if you look at this, I'm gonna close this view right now. So I'm gonna go back over to where it says two views. I'm gonna make sure that this window is selected, and I can tell it's selected by the little blue triangles in the top corner. If I click on this one, blue triangles in the top corner. Click on this one, back over here, blue triangles in this top corner. So instead of two views, back to one view. So now what does that do? If you look at this right now, instead of us using our move tool, you have these three tools right here. You have an orbit tool, you have a pan tool, and you have a dolly tool, which zooms you in and out. So if I choose the dolly tool, let me choose the dolly tool. You see I'm moving this in and out. If I choose the pan tool right here, you can see you get that parallax movement of it moving in and out. If I choose the orbit tool, you can see that they are truly in 3D space right now, right? Now the other thing that I can do, if I have this set up, let me move my yellow one out of the way a little bit. I'm gonna select it, drag them up, and move them over to the side a little bit. I can also go under layer, go to new, choose a camera. If I drop a camera in here, I'm gonna leave all the default settings. Here's my camera. If I go back to my two views right now, you will see I have a camera in here now. So if I grab my camera and start moving my camera around, just like you would in cinema, you can see that I'm moving and zooming this camera in and out of that scene, right? So I can grab the camera also, I can rotate it on the Z-axis. Oops. You can see I can turn it around, move it around and stuff. If I wanted to fly this camera right through these boxes right here, I'm gonna click on my camera settings. I'm gonna go into the camera, I'll go into operations in a bit. So point of interest is down here. That would be like your camera target, like you would have in cinema. And if I look at if I start zooming this in and out, you can see that I'm moving the orientation and the position of it, of both of these, of both the point of interest and of the camera position itself, right? You have your Z-axis here, you have your Y-axis, and you have your X-axis, tilted up and down. Okay, so if I wanted to animate this going through right now, I'm going to grab keyframes on both the point of interest and the position. Okay, so my camera and my camera target. Okay, I'll grab it right here. I'll do a quick little fly through these boxes, maybe at around 5 seconds or so. I'm gonna grab this. And push them all the way through, line right through. Okay, so we have this. Camera's flying right through. If maybe halfway through I said, okay, I want this to do a 360 spin going through this. So I'm gonna grab it maybe at 2 seconds, set a keyframe on my Z. Maybe at another second, I'm gonna say, I want you to rotate twice on the Z axis. So here we go, flying through, spinning, and flying through. Okay? The other thing that this has in here, which we won't get into too much, if you look at some of these camera options in here, I still have like my depth of field. I'm gonna turn that on. If I turn that on, I have the aperture. I can choose, you can see I can fade the inside. And the only thing that it doesn't give you a real graphic representation of what that would look like, but you can fade this in and out by changing the aperture like you would with a real camera. And then as this flies through it, things that are out of focus, depending on where they are going to become more in focus. So okay, does that make sense a little bit? So you can imagine if you had something that looks like this section right here. We get into the final file. You can notice the, well, let me turn them back on over here, sorry. Turn it back on here. You can see the very subtle kind of parallax motion that you have with him moving through like that, right? So, let me see if I can find something here for you. No, I'm not gonna be able to find it. What was the name again? Can't remember the name. Can't remember his name. Okay. I was gonna show you some different examples of different 3D work in After Effects. You can do some really cool stuff with it. That and a bunch of other tools, of course. But you'll find that a lot of companies use these 3D tools in After Effects usually when there's no video budget that's set to something. So where you can take still imagery and animate it in a 3D manner, use stuff like the puppet pin tool, which we'll get into next semester, and actually move people around like they're real people. And it's just stills that we use. Okay? So there's more stuff to come, everybody. Alright, I think I will hold it there for right now. Just check on one thing here. Hold on. I don't know if I have this stuff or not. Okay, here's some of it right here. Okay. This is second year stuff, but this is something you guys will be doing next semester. This is all puppet pin tool and 3D camera work.
And 3D.
sound that simple, because it's not. See if you can notice where the camera movements are in this. Okay, so that's video done for a trade show, and all the elements of that video came from a print ad. Okay? So, a little bit of 3D camera work, and some puppet pin tool. Here's another one that might show it a little bit more. This one, yeah. I'll show you this last one. You'll see this stuff again though. I will stop there for today, everybody. I was hoping to give you a little bit more time than that, but if you have stuff that you're working on, please work on it. And if you have everything done and you want to take off and go home, go home. Anybody leaves, I'll be shocked. But you can go if you want. If you want to work at home and stuff, go ahead. If you don't have any questions, you can go. Okay? But for next week, everybody, next week I'm hoping to have mostly in open lab. I'll have a few things to show, of course, but please bring, if you're working on your room, the hotel room, which I hope everybody's been working on it, because if you're starting it now, it's a lot of work to get done in a short period of time that you have. And plus you have your FIP that you're working on too, right? So 2 big projects. Next week is week 12, right? So it's crunch time. So hopefully you guys have been working on that stuff.